really excited about where BIM 360 Ops is coming from. For those of you that don't know, I've been at Autodesk just a little over a year. After 24 years in the MEP design and engineering, and then working with facilities as part of the last 5 to 10 years of that. So really excited about what's happening in the industry. And so as part of BIM, and I've been involved with BIM since 2006, construction teams are really capturing a lot of valuable data. We're data centric. We're focused on it. Building information modeling, building information management. We look at all these terminologies, look at all this data, but then we go, what happens at handover? Where does all this data go? How is all this data formatted? Who's using the data, and where is the data being stored? And even yet, who is the data being given to, and when is it being given to? And then we look at, you've got building automation systems in these buildings. You've got smart buildings. You've got IoT in these buildings. We have IoT in our houses. We get alerts from our phones. We get alerts when things are delivered. I got a grocery delivery the other day during a presentation. My phone dinged. We're getting these alerts. So what are we doing with these alerts that the buildings are producing? Are we getting these alerts in the email form that's going to a facility manager or a help desk and then having to be manually? So why aren't we automating some of these alerts, some of this smart technology that is out there today and that BIM 360 Ops can provide? So, day one readiness, how can we get there? And so what if we focused on the data FM teams need to maintain their facility and not the data that the AEC industry wants to provide them? Is there a difference there? Think about that for a second. Is the data that you need as an owner different than what is in the O&M turnover package or in the owner turnover package? What if the asset data needed to maintain a facility was organized, accessible, and actionable before the facility opened? As a facility owner, if you had your O&M data, if you had your asset data before you ever opened the doors, or let's say substantial completion, what kind of head start would that give you on maintaining that facility? Preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance can make or break a building and the cost, because we all know 75 to 80% of the cost in the overall structure of a building is in the operations. And so any way that we can get the maintenance up and running on that building quicker, we're going to start saving money. So what if the preventive maintenance tasks were scheduled and maintenance records were available on a mobile device before day one of operation? So think about that. As a building owner, how many times have you had your preventive maintenance task set up and running and ready to go for your building? So that's all in part of this data that we're collecting and that we're using. But have we ever turned over O&M data, checklist data in Excel format? How easy would that be if as part of the O&M package, we turned over Excel data? So here's what we can do with BIM 360 Ops. We are a mobile-first maintenance management solution, and we focus on the technician aspect We've talked to building technicians. We've talked to the operators of this equipment and tried to figure out how can we better manage this building by having them the data that a technician needs to manage this building. Because if we're getting them the BIM data that they need, when they need it, and where they need it, they're going to be able to make better maintenance requirement. They're going to be able to make better maintenance decisions. They're going to be able to make the right maintenance decisions. And then also, what BIM 360 Ops does is we automate those building sensor alerts. So say a boiler goes out of temperature range. Then you get that notification and we auto-generate a ticket for that. Same thing goes for airflow. Say a VAV box is simultaneous, or say we're simultaneously heating and cooling a building. That sensor alert can notify us, hey, we've got an issue. That technician needs to go out. And then on top of that, BIM 360 Ops provides indoor maps so that we can see where that ticket is, so that we can see where that asset is. How many times have you wondered where a VAV box is above the ceiling? You know, we can wayfind that ticket and do some ticket triaging, and better yet, we can do analytics in a map format. So what kind of value does that bring? What are we truly looking at here? What are we trying to solve with BIM 360 Ops? So we're trying to enable that turnkey maintenance system. We're trying to help you as owners realize the potential and reduce expenses with unmaintained equipment. How many times have you taken ownership of a building and there's been 2 or 3 pieces of equipment that have not been maintained just because they weren't in front of your eyes? They weren't as part of the known assets of the building. If we can get a true deliverable from the model, from the AEC, from the building commissioning process, from the tab reports, have all of that information and have it on a mobile device. Have it early. Have it usable, and from a technician's point of view, instead of from a BIM technician point of view, what power does that add? And then on top of that, being able to geolocate our wonderful Revit models, our BIM deliverables, make an indoor map that is contextually relevant. It's actually the building that was just built, or the redesign that's just been done, or the renovation that's just been done. We can produce a map showing room locations, asset locations, ticket locations, and also showing inspection maps with color-coded rooms with varying degrees of where the tickets are in status. So, an overview is we're truly mobile first. We look at the iPad, we look at the iPhone. We are optimized for the web version of Android. We're able to look at occupants and technicians can create tickets from their phones. They can take a before and after video and photo, attach it to the phone, and then we have, hey Siri, hey Alexa, turn on the living room lamp. My living room lamp just turned on. We have multiple ways of voice to text. So let's take this technology that we're using every day and apply it to our building features to make the technology that we're using in our everyday lives. Let's apply that to buildings and make this facility management easier for the people who are doing the work in the building. One of the things coming up through the industry, I've always heard about these building automation systems. Where they do great and amazing things, but how are they actually getting fixed? How do we actually know the notifications are being done correctly and that we're getting actionable items for it. So what we've done with the IoT, the building automation systems, basically any device that can generate an email off of a sensor alert, we can bring that ticket into BIM 360 Ops and create a ticket that can then be assigned to the proper technician. So there's no email going to the help desk, then the help desk has to figure out what is wrong with that or what the alert is and then put it into the system. We do that automatically. We do that through email. And more importantly, what we do here is there is no programming required because it's all done through email, and then the maintenance on that. It is very easy to maintain. As you can see here, this is from our Medisys system at our Boston office, where we're able to look at that, get alarms on this particular valve, creates an actionable work order, then we can actually go do the work order. So we can do reactive tickets, we can do preventive maintenance tickets, we can do building inspections. All of those come with notifications. We can set it up, we can notify your team via email, iOS notifications, and text notifications, and these can be set individually for how they come into your phone. You'll notice here on this notification, this water leak from the ceiling, we can actually preview the picture that was taken for that reactive ticket. So we're trying to build some intelligence into the system so that when we do get these alerts, we're making smarter decisions from the start. So therefore, that every step that we can save a facility technician, that's time saved. That's dollars saved. That's actually dollars earned for that facilities department. So that's why we're trying to take this approach, is to be able to understand. We have recently released task inspections where we can group, say, in a hospital, an environment of care rounding for each room, and be able to look at those individually as a group, as a task of tickets in one group, as part inside the system, just a little differently than our other text. And then being able to view those on the map and see all those notifications and use those in an appropriate way to help us make better, smarter decisions. So asset history. How many of you wanted to go back and look at when was that asset installed? Who submitted into the system? When is the warranty date on that? You know, where is that installed? What's the set points? What's the flow rate supposed to be? What's the filter rating supposed to be? We're trying to gather the information that they need for that, for the checklist, for the history, for the documentation. What about linking to the building automation system, say an air handling unit, to see what the humidity, the actual temperature range, you know, to see the building automation system graphics, you know, to see the water, you know, even the water flow rates coming from a boiler or chiller. What value does that add? And then having the O&M manuals in their hands while they're doing the maintenance. Or better yet, what if we have a video on how to maintain a piece of equipment, so that way we have it documented exactly how you as the owner wants that piece of equipment maintained. That's all at your fingertips. We're trying to give you that information so that that technician better understands what they're trying to do, and it's repeatable every time they go do preventive maintenance. You know, I mentioned checklists here. I have I guess checklists are a little bit of a passion for me. because I set up a project where checklists were very difficult because I had to extract all of them from a PDF, and I'm sure some of you are nodding your heads. You're having to go through that O&M manual and figure out what preventive maintenance procedures I need for my specific piece of equipment. But what if we ask the manufacturers for these checklists in Excel format so that we could upload these into the system rather than you as a building owner having to go search for them? It's just a thought process. And then models. So BIM 360 Ops does use the models, but what we do is we use them for contextual aspects only. So your facility technician doesn't have to become a 3D BIM expert to use our software, because we look at the data, we take a data first approach and then let them use the model for context. And I'll show you that here in just a little bit. But that's one of the things I get asked a lot is, well, my technicians aren't BIM savvy. Do they have to be BIM savvy to use BIM 360 Ops? No, they don't, because like I said, we take a technician's approach. We would rather have them tearing apart a pump or an air handling unit rather than learning how to use the 3D model, because that's what they're paid to do. That's where they're going to make that maintenance department money. On-demand scheduling, reporting, graphs, intelligent live reports. And then also we can take these to a CSV file so that you can take that to another system if you need to. If you need to take it to an accounting system, we export to Airtable to do a calendar view of ticketing. So all of this is on demand. So if you just wanted to see the cleaning tickets that are urgent, you can click on that orange there and it will actually take you directly to those tickets, because this is all live data. So how do we add assets? And I have a video to show you how to add assets and locations that we're going to talk about. So here is the 3D model in contextual view. There's the check valve for the fire department connection. So we see that. But over here would be the data. So here's where we would start looking at the data for this particular asset. So how do we do that? We do that from BIM 360 Build Assets. We do that from Revit, and we do that from Spreadsheet. We can add those directly. We have a button directly from Revit. I'm going to show you the Revit workflow here in just a couple minutes. So the value that we bring, like I said, and you've heard me, day one readiness, begin operations in day one. We're not difficult to use, and we're not costly to deploy because we're using the data that's already there. So it's not like we're having to go gather data. The data is part of the BIM process. We just need to refine it and figure out how to get it to the facilities team in a way that is functionable and actionable. We can do that through a facilities data spec. We can do that through a BIM plan. We can do this multiple ways, but as long as we get it to the facilities team in a language they understand, that's the actionable key step there. Also, we have an occupant dashboard as well, where people working inside of the facility can actually submit tickets and have a text communication back and forth with the facilities team. It's all documented. It doesn't have to be a phone call. We have in our Arkansas Children's case study, we have documented data of time that this is saved on callbacks. So we're looking at data. We're looking at things. How can we increase not only the facilities, but how can the occupants of the building feel better connected with the facilities teams? and then to have greater insight. That's what I've been focused on since I joined the BIM 360 Ops team. This has been part of my huge focus. This is what KD has had me looking at, working with clients on figuring out a better way to do this for all of us. So our indoor maps creation. You know, a lot of people are asking me, well, are these just PDFs in the background? No, they are not PDFs. They are actually a map file that is actually inside the mapping software. So we're geolocating this. So this particular map here shows you where your tickets are, and then we have the blue dot here where we can walk the person to a ticket in the nearby status of our software. So being able to wayfind for the facilities team. You have mobile assets, so whiteboards, audio video carts, even your building maintenance carts in a healthcare environment. Nowadays, even ventilators with what's going on with COVID, with IV poles, things that move around a facility, we can actually timestamp and room locate where these devices are in the facility, and then we can actually get directions, ask directions to that building, and we actually know what floor that is on. So we can track mobile assets through BIM 360 Ops. Now this is one of my favorites. I'm pretty proud of what our team and what we've done here with heat map analysis, heat map analytics. When you saw this screen, you knew exactly what was the hot spot of tickets for this facility was right there. And then also your eyes probably went to right there. How awesome is it to be able to view this and see what is going on in my facility? Why do I have more tickets? And be able to go investigate and truly manage what's going on in that facility right there. Why do I have so many tickets right here? Is there a reason for that? Being able to go filter through our system, look at that, and then you get a better idea of what's happening here. Just released inspection maps, color-coded mapping to show you what tickets, what inspection tickets do I have open, what inspection tickets are in progress, and what are in needs attention. So as you can see here, graphical analytics for your eyes, being able to see what's going on. And then also on the web, you can actually hover over this and it will actually show you the ticket. You can click on it, it opens the ticket up. So a closer look. So we're going to dive into Revit. We're going to show you ops on the web. We're going to show you ops on the iPad. I recorded this just in case the weather, I knew the weather was going to be bad, so this is a recording. And I stumbled a couple of times. I left those stumbles in there just to show that it's realistic. And so here, we're going to open up Revit. I created a building over here. You can see there's no assets, and then there's no building locations in this day one building here. So we're going to go over here to our Revit model, and then we're going to come down here and look at the electrical equipment schedule. We're going to go generate our code here, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to select our we're going to select our assets, hit Add In, export to BIM 360 Ops inside of Revit here, and then we're going to put in our code, and we're going to export the assets here. So as you can see on the left, it is exporting the assets here. I'm going to move this down just so that I can show you a little bit more here. And let me try to get my clicker here so I can get my dot. There we go. So here you can see it's already starting to generate those assets. So here we're going to go get our code again. We're going to generate our code. We're going to come over here. We're going to select the mechanical equipment down here. And see, this is one of the things where Mark got a little lost right here. And then we're going to select the mechanical equipment. We're going to paste that. And our export was completed. We're going to select the mechanical equipment now. See there, I made an error. Now we're going to select our mechanical equipment. And then we're going to go up here to add-ins, select equipment. And we're going to put in our code over on the left. And then submit. And you can see how easy this is. Here's our 3D model that we're going to be bringing through. See, it's a 3-story building. It's got some equipment setting out in the yard. So while this is processing up here in the top, we're going to look at this category here. So these are IMDF categories that Apple has us for their indoor data mapping format, which will be part of the next of this series. We also have to add these categories to doors as well to make sure that as we build these maps, because they are maps, they're not PDFs, we're getting those accurate and we're getting the correct data to build the maps correctly. You can see we're still exporting those assets. See, we have to set the building, the true north of the building correct. We also have to truly geolocate. We have to go to manage and geolocate the building as well. You can see I've went in into a user define and set my latitude and longitude. This building is actually setting in my neighborhood. So here you can see our mechanical assets are there. So I'm going to click, show these asset lists here, and you can see that it started building. There's air handlers, chillers, cooling towers, exhaust fans, lighting boards, and there you see our model is starting to build. It's in the background starting to build. So what about room locations? Let's get every room location inside of this model into ops so that we can start looking at it. If we want to add QR codes, barcodes, we can do that. So we're going to select all of our floor plans here. We're going to go to our ops add-in, go to export BIM 360 ops locations. We're going to put our code in, and you're going to see here, it's going to go find every room location, and it's going to export it. Now, you have to have all these set up with the proper mapping if you want a map. If you don't have to have a map, you do not have to have the IMDF categories set up. So there is our indoor map. That is actually behind our paywall. So feel free to talk to Imagine It or us about the indoor map. Peter truly understands the indoor mapping. He did an amazing AU presentation earlier or late last year on it. So here, I'm going to copy a code. Now we're actually going to produce a map. So we're going to go back and look at our floor plans here, highlight them, hit indoor map, and then export the indoor map. It's going through. It's actually opening and looking at all of our floor plans to make sure that we've got room locations, all of that type of information in there properly. We're going to paste. Then it's going to go through over on the left, export indoor maps to day one. So here we go. It's exporting our map. I'm going to take a drink of water while this exports here. So it's going through and creating a indoor data mapping format. We're doing it in the background. It's going to your documents file, and then we're actually pushing that to a mapping feature. So now I want to show you, all right, so we've got our assets here. Everything's building to the cloud. So here, let's look at 3D model. So I showed you the 3D model a while ago. So this is the 3D model in the Autodesk large model viewer. And it's actually going to zoom to the asset. There's that air handling unit. Shown in context, notice the technician went to the asset first before they went to view the 3D model. Here, a VEV box above the ceiling, shown in context. So, and it's going to zoom to the VEV box there. So you can see it's there. You can see how fast it is. If you notice, I've got the live clock down in the bottom. So there's the 3D model. All right, so let's add a ticket. Let's see where this ticket ends up on the map. So I'm just going to create a day 1 ticket. I think we're going to add it in room 20, I think. Yeah, room 20. All right, so I'm going to hit click submit. We're going to create a ticket here. So that ticket is generated to our system. So just to show you, all right, so the ticket's there. I'm going to regenerate my page. And then I'm going to click on this 1 ticket again. And notice we have a map button. There's our map with our ticket in the bottom left. So it brought in all 4 floors with the roof. We can go back there, and there's the starting of our heat map. That's pretty much how it works. Getting data from Revit, starting the process. So now I'm going to move over to my health portfolio that basically has the same model, but show you more detailed out. Let's look at a building automation system for that air handling unit. So we can come in here, we can look at the BAS graphics, we can look at the humidity and the actual temperature. Just to show you, this is the same model, just with more data. So here is an air handling unit with a little bit more building commissioning data with the tab report data in there. So here's a chiller with some images of that chiller, a maintenance video. So you see how it's all working. So we're tracking the history, and you see I created this originally November 19th of 2019 is when I started this. So all this data is aggregating here. Over on the iPad on the right, we're looking at tickets over the last 7 days. All of that dashboard is clickable. It's all live. It's automatic. So here I'm looking at my cleaning tickets. I had my inspections all due yesterday. Just happened to be that way. So we can look at these through all open, up new, upcoming. So here's my upcoming tickets that are actually due today right now. And I can start working on those beforehand before they become overdue. And so if I can search, we have a search feature. If I want to search for for an air handler monthly, so there's my checklist of the work that needs to be done for the checklist. I can click the boxes. I can actually take a picture. So I'm going to take a picture of a 3D printed air handling unit right here on my desk. There it is. So we can use that. We can create a follow-up ticket for noise. There's noise and vibration. Notice that it knew our location. So I can then hit done, submit, and notice it's already assigned a ticket number 213 right there. The process is already working. The process is already in place. It's already going into our ticket numbers have changed. We're looking at the data as is current. So here we go back. There's our ticket map. We can see what tickets are overdue. We can see what tickets are current just by clicking on our numbers there. And then we can turn that into a heat map by clicking our heat map button. So you can start telling what is going on inside my building. You can see here, that's my neighborhood that I've got sent here. All right, back to our iPad. So here's the same map on the iPad. Being able to look graphically, see what's going on with the assets. There's with the tickets. Now so here's our panel boards. You see, it knows where they are. It knows where the VEV boxes are in the building. And they're truly geolocated because we brought that in from the Revit model like that. So think of the intelligence here. Is your construction team, here we're looking, this is a clean map. No data on it. Just showing you basically a map of your facility from the pin up at the top. All right, so let's look at building locations. So here's our rooms. Let's look at the ante room. But we actually want to see a 3D picture or a laser scan of this room. We can link to those and be able to give this view. What value is this to a technician to be able to see actual before ceiling and before wall goes up? What value does that add? Now, We're in a room scenario from that BIM, but what if we wanted to go see that VEV box and see the details for that VEV box? So we can type in VEV. Notice it filtered the VAV boxes only, or words that have VEV. So we can actually scroll here. We can look at things. So there you can see them. All right. See, there's 370 down at the bottom. But now I want to type in just 370 because I know that's 370. So there's my box. I can go to my documents right there. I can go look at that VAV box and see it in real world context versus a model view. Think about the value that this can add. We can also do that with a barcode and QR code. So here, if we can start typing and it's starting to filter. So here's this air handling unit 2. Where's air handling unit 2 in our facility? You can see it's in the top right up there. All right, so let's look for VEV box. I think it's 10 or 11. Our VEV box 10. Where is that VEV box in the facility? It's right there on the first floor. All right, so it's in corridor 49. What else is in corridor 49? What other assets? So I can click associated assets, and we've got 15 VEV boxes in corridor 49. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. So let's look at a preventive maintenance ticket and the follow-up ticket. So notice that we've had the follow-up ticket here, and I want to show you that it's in that we're finishing up. We actually take a percentage of what's finished on the checklist. Now it says 100% complete down the bottom right, and I'm going to change that to requires a vendor. So now that we've got a little bit of work that needs some vendor, so we're going to come over here and we're going to scroll down to the bottom here, and there's our follow-up ticket with the picture of that air handling unit over on the web where we had done that on the iPad. So you can see that it's syncing up. You can see that it's working, that everything is talking to each other and connecting and working together. So to me, this process is we're working on helping get the data that you need for facility maintenance. And we focus on actionable equipment that needs to be maintained. And you can use different things, you know, you can use different assets. It's what applies to your building, what applies to your industry. But the question that Peter and I want to talk about is, are you ready for day one? Have you thought about being ready for day one? What are we going to have to change in the process to get you ready for day one? And Peter, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I love this topic and the whole topic of day one. One of the nice things about Ops is it is extremely easy to use. And if you can have your data formatted in a model, we can very rapidly take this and put it in the palm of someone's hand for day one. And as we talk about the future of BIM, as it impacts facilities management more, we all know one of the gaping holes is getting good data from the AEC world over to the owner. And what I love about Ops is it provides a very elegant way to do that. And you've got a good model of your facility, we can have you up in a day. And what I like about Ops is it's simple to use, mostly because I can explain it. And at the same time, it's a powerful way to say, hey, you can start using this data.
The beauty of it is your model doesn't have to be complete. We can start with the model and then just go to data. And also the beauty of Ops, we don't have to have a model as long as we have some data. So there's multiple ways that this can work. So don't think that you have to have every little bit of data inside that model. We can bring in data from spreadsheets once that model is inside the system. So like Peter said, we've tried to make it so that it's very simple.